Hello friends, today's topic is sexual reproduction. As in the previous class we have studied asexual reproduction. So today we are going to study asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. So now sexual reproduction, as you all know that it is a fusion of male and female gamete. Okay? So first we will be studying sexual reproduction in plant. In plant the reproductive part is flower. As so this is a diagram of a flower, a normal flower. This flower has both male and female gamete, hence it is a bisexual flower. Flowers are of two types, unisexual or bisexual. Unisexual flowers are those flowers which are having only one, either male or female, while the flower which are having both male and female parts into it are considered as bisexual flower. So this is a normal flower, and in this flower we find the flower consists of four whorls. What are four whorls? Sepals, petals, carpel and stamen. Okay, from the bottom of the flower we will be having first stem, a stalk. Then there is a receptacle, a thalamus, on which whole flower whorl is being attached. Then the light greenish part is considered as a sepal, and then now receptacle, you can see now this is sepal, and petal is here. These are the colorful leaves, these are petals. Okay, now important part comes when we talk about stamen and pistil, that is carpel. Stamen are the male reproductive part. Stamen are the male reproductive part, while carpel is the female reproductive part. Now what are the functions? Functions of first is sepal. Function of sepal is to protect the petals. And what are petals? Petals function. Petals, as they are colorful, they used to attract insects for pollination. Pollination we will discuss after this, how it happens and what is pollination. So petals are colorful to attract insects so that pollination may occur. They are scented, so that's why they attract insects. Now stamen and carpel. Now let's study their structure, how they look. Okay. Now this is the structure of stamen, that is male reproductive part. It consists of two things, anther and filament. Anther is a bilobed structure in which lot of pollen grains being hanged into it. Once they get mature, that anther bursts and those pollen grain reaches to the stigma of the carpel, where they can germinate. So filament is a stalk which attach the anther to the flower or style or whatever the place it is being attached to. Okay, together this is known as stamen. Understood? Now this is a female reproductive part which is known as carpel. It consists of stigma, style and ovary. Stigma, style and ovary. Stigma is a spongy part on the top where pollen grain gets attached to it, and style is a tube-like structure, and ovary is a place where fertilization takes place. Of inside ovary there is a ovule. Inside ovule the fertilization occurs. Okay, so let's move further, and now you know which is the male part, which is the female part. Now what will happen? So now the important term, that is pollination, comes. So what is pollination? The pollination, always keep this in mind, it's a transfer of pollen grains. When pollen grain is used to transfer from the anther to stigma, means male to female part, with the help of any medium, insect, air, wind, the transferring process is known as pollination. It is divided into two. Being on the nature, it is divided into two. If pollen grain is being transferred from it occurs only in a one flower, the same from the same flower or anther of the same flower, it is transferred to the stigma of the same flower. Keep this in mind, only one flower is supposed to be involved, and it should be done naturally. If human being does it, then it's simply a process, or we call experiment. It should be done naturally. So if a human being is doing it, then it's a experiment. Else, if it is happening naturally from one anther to stigma of the same flower, it is known as self-pollination. Understood? What is self-pollination? Self-pollination is transferring of pollen grains from anther to stigma within the same flower. Now, cross-pollination. What is cross-pollination? It is also transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma, but flower, it involves two flowers from the same plant as well, or from the other plants. Means pollen grains are supposed to be transferred from anther to stigma within two flowers. Okay, this is cross-pollination. Now let's come to the fertilizer. After pollination, fertilization occurs. Okay, so fertilization, what happens? Pollen grain once transferred to the where? Pollen grain is first transferred to the stigma from anther to stigma. From that stigma, that pollen grain germinates and forms pollen tube. That pollen tube runs through the style and reaches to the ovary and ovule, carrying tube nucleus and germ cell like this, which get fused inside the flower. That pollen grain carries two nucleus and a tube nucleus which reaches through the pollen tube. The long tube is known as pollen tube and reaches to the ovary, where it gets fused with the nucleus and egg cells. So there is two type of fusion over there. One fuses with the center nucleus and other fuses with the egg cells, which are present in the ovule itself. So in ovule there are two fusion is there. Two type of fusion happens. That's why this process also is also considered as a double fertilization. When fertilization occurs, it happened. After fertilization, what will happen? That ovary will form fruit, and that ovule will form seed. Okay, the ovary will swell up to form fruit, and seed will be made by the ovule. So what will happen to the sepal and petals? They will be laid off, dried and removed from it. Okay, this is a post fertilization changes. And today what we have learned? We have learned sexual reproduction in flowering plant, flowers. We have gone through the parts of the flower, and we have studied the process of pollination and fertilization as well. So students, do prepare the notes. Okay, thank you.